So that's 5 days to write this pattern that ended up being 23 pages. It's not. Hello and welcome to Mandobug Crafts, episode 118. What's up, guys? My name's Amanda, but you may know me on the internet as Mandobug, and this is my crafty podcast where I hopefully inspire you on your making journey as I share mine. In today's video, I have a lot of crochet to talk about, and that's pretty much it. So let's start out with something I've learned. So this is something I've learned a little while ago, but I have yet to share it with you guys on the podcast, and that is when you're looking at designing patterns, knit or crochet, you need to find a set of standard measurements that are going to work for your patterns if you're going to design garments. And that can be one of the most frustrating things when you're first starting out is, where do you get these measurements? Which measurements do you trust? Which measurements are going to help you get a good fit for the people who want to make your patterns? And slowly, as I've been educating myself on becoming initially a designer and then a better designer, I have come across other people in the industry, more experienced people, whether you want to call them experts, professionals, whatever label you want to put on it. They know their stuff. And as I've been talking to them, I came across the resource of the ASTM standards, and I invested and got myself the book. Which I don't even know you could get a book, but there is a book option. So when you go to the websites, which I'll have linked below, you can get individual PDFs that are specific chunks of sizes, like boys, girls, misses, teen boys, I don't know what that one's called, adult women, adult men, and then also what they label the plus size as well. This has all of it. Also including babies. So this was kind of, oh, it's upside down. This has all of the sizes all in one. The ASTM standards for body measurements, second edition. I'm so happy to have a hard copy that I can reference. Of course, I will be putting the information into my spreadsheets when it comes time for me to let Excel do the math for me for the most part. Like I do the math once and then Excel duplicates the math for me. But what I really like is not only does this group of measurements have so many more measurements than other resources, it also has great explanations of what exactly you're measuring. So of course that happened to have the crotch length on there, which is going to be important if you're going to design something like shorts. It's got for your hands, your hand width and your hand length. Where did they measure when they made these measurements? Same with your hand girth, your foot length, your foot width, and it's just tables upon tables of measurements. And I'm really excited to put this to use. This is women 55 and up of junior petite figure type. Like very specific, which is what you need when you're looking to design specific patterns, right? I think I've mentioned on the podcast, I'm looking forward to designing a baby bonnet, and this is going to have the measurements I need to do that. I need more than just the head circumference and crown to ear measurement because of the direction I want to make this bonnet. It's in here, and I'm super excited about it. So that is something I've learned that I haven't shared yet, I don't think. Well, at least not in that kind of detail. I should mention it is a pricey book, so I wouldn't recommend it unless you are serious about crochet design or knit design. Moving on to finished objects. I finished my Lift Your Spirits crochet along sample and now the pattern. Oh my gosh, you guys, this was a lot of work. Like I knew it was going to be a lot of work, but I've never written a pattern this big before. The shawl, I want to say, I broke the body and the border up, so I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's somewhere around like 98 rows, and each row is unique. And when you get to the end of the shawl, there are so many stitches on a row. I want to say it's like up in the 500s. It's a lot of writing. It was so much writing to write out the written version of the pattern, and not to mention creating the charts as well. I want to say I took a good 3 days to create all the charts, and then another 2 days to write the full pattern. And so that's 5 days to write this pattern that ended up being 23 pages. It's nuts, but it's absolutely worth it. I am so pleased with the way the design ended up. People who love Halloween like I do and that have seen the spoilers already, because of course people are going to see spoilers, like my tech editor, their responses have been, OMG, I love this. So I'm really excited for this crochet along starting in September 3rd. But before that can happen, I've got to get my pattern back from my tech editor and then test it. So I sent out my Call for Testers newsletter, and I did have 4 people sign up immediately, but one of them had to back out. So I have an open spot for the small size, which I don't think should take more than 2 to 3 weeks to make, and there's a 6-week timeline. So if you're interested in testing the size small for me, I'll have a link to apply in the description box below, because I do need one more tester. I am short. So, but yeah, I'm super excited, and I can't wait for this to come out. And I did all the photos of the project by itself, but I still have to do my modeled photos, and I'm excited to do that as well. Other than that, the only other thing I finished since the last time I recorded a podcast is a bunch of swatches. I'm doing Swatchfest Saturdays, my live stream, where I took all of your favorite cotton yarns and started swatching and reviewing them. So I did, this is Juniper Moon Farm Summer Solstice. I might as well just show you the balls. I'm not going to go into the details because you guys can catch the replay of the live stream and all of that. And I also go into detail about which patterns I recommend for the yarns. And anyone who caught the live stream is able to ask me questions live, and I've answered those as well. So I really do think the live streams are super valuable if you like yarn reviews. But so I swatched Juniper Moon Farm Summer Solstice, which is a new yarn for this year. I swatched Hobie's Bungee Mini, which is not for me. It's not that it's a bad yarn, it's more of a decorative home decor type yarn, and it's really big. I'm not a fan of working with big yarn, but it was fun to try something different. I think just trying all these different yarns is really expanding my skills and knowledge when it comes to yarn reviews in general. The more yarns I can get my hands on, the more knowledge I have in general about where it fits within the market, which I've really been enjoying, especially as I go forward with designing. I've got all these swatches that I can literally start designing from, which is invaluable. Universal Yarn Bamboo Pop. Any bamboo blend just gives you drape for days. It's 50% bamboo, 50% cotton, which is the same as Lion Brand Kobu. So much drape. So I went into good detail about comparing these two yarns, and the price point is actually quite a bit of a difference between the two. So I recommend checking out the live stream for the details on those, but that is something else that I finished this week. Moving on to works in progress, I have spent most of my time lately working on a magazine design. I have to finish it by the end of this week so that I can block it and then it can get in the mail on time so I don't miss my deadline. I think that's enough time. I've really pushed myself to the limits in the past. I don't know if I was recording back when I participated in the 4-day sweater knit along that Marie Green hosts. The year that she did the beekeeper cardigan, I did knit that sweater in 4 days. So I know that if I have to push myself, I will not miss that deadline. But it's getting, I've got a week and I've got to finish. So that's what's going to get most of my attention. But I did take some time since I've last recorded to work on the Nightmare Before Christmas inspired cardigan by Altknots, and I got some good progress. I guess I'll talk about how in the Let's Chat part, but let me share where we're at. So I've showed this a couple times. I'm using fingering weight yarn held double, mostly Halloween indie dyed scrap yarn, but also this Schoppel-Wolle Bio Merinos, which is black, and it's more of a sport weight, so it's a little thicker and denser, and the gauge is a bit off. But the way that Kayla of Altknots wrote the pattern is based on measurements, so you can use any yarn. You basically get to make your own gauge. So I've got my back and my front panels sewn together, and I've been working on my sleeves. I finished Jack's sleeve. Well, I say finished, but it still needs its ribbing, so this is all before ribbing. But I think I told you guys last week about how I took me a minute, but I figured out the tapered sleeves. So I've got my tapered sleeve size, which I'm going to use to create Sally's sleeves so that they're the same, and so that my cuffs will be the same length. I was a little concerned that if I had a longer cuff on Jack's side and a shorter cuff on Sally's side, that would look ridiculous. So where is Sally? Here she is. This is just the beginning of Sally's sleeve, and I already goofed up, and it's okay. I'm gonna keep it. I don't care. I just started making some shapes, right? Because Sally's side, the original pattern is squares, but I wanted to do something a little less symmetrical. So I'm literally just making up shapes as I go, whatever feels right. So I kind of started with this black rectangle. I added these stripes on top. Then I turned it sideways and I started doing the beginning of the tapered sleeve shaping. I'll show you the two against each other. The tapered shape is the same for both sleeves, and then I'm going to go pick up on this side and start tapering on that side as well, and then just continue patchworking these yarns together. I found this yellow yarn that I thought kind of went with Sally, but I don't like yellow that much, so I held it with a strand of black. This yellow is from Cattails yarn, and the black is from Knitty and Color. This variegated is also a Knitty and Color colorway, one of her Halloween colorways. The purple is, oh man, the name is escaping me. I bought it at a trunk show back when I worked at my local yarn store. If I can find it, I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. I had started knitting a shawl with this, and I frogged the shawl, but I kept the yarn, so. But where I goofed is my cuff is going to be black. So when I added this shaping, I really meant to add it going the opposite direction so that my cuff would be touching the color instead of more black. So it's going to be like black cuff into a black patch, which was not my intention, but I wasn't paying attention. Not my intention, but I wasn't paying attention. So that's what's going to end up happening, but I'm just like, whatever at this point. It's a scrappy sweater. I do have some other squares that I was experimenting with, but I just haven't figured out where I want them to go on the sleeve yet. I do like the way this one's turning out, kind of like grungy. Where? This is a strand of Schmutzerella yarns in the Edith colorway and a strand of Knitty and Color that was in a Halloween-inspired mini skein set. I don't know that the color had a name, but I really like the two together, and I think adding this Edith colorway. No, this isn't Edith. This is Cheese Balls. Adding this Cheese Balls colorway, I think, really lightened up this square, but still keeps it Halloween patchworky. So I just got to figure out where I want to put it, but at this point, it's just a matter of making shapes to make my tapered sleeve, and then once those are done, and I weave in all the ends, I can sew the cardigan together and see what my fit is going to look like, and then work on the front ribbing, the bottom ribbing, and the cuffs, and then I'll be done. I'm super excited. I know that the crochet along has ended, but there's so much time left before Halloween, and even with all my design commitments, I should easily get this ready before the beginning of October, and I'll be able to wear it nonstop for the month of October because I know this is going to be my new favorite cardigan. So that is my works in progress. Moving on to Let's Chat. Guys, have you noticed my haircut? It blends into my t-shirt because my shirt is black, and this is about like my grow out from when I was dyeing my hair black. So I feel like it's harder to tell that I got a haircut, but David cut my hair like 6 or more inches off of it because we still haven't completely eradicated the lice. It's been over a month now. I think where our mistake was is that the treatment we were buying was saying that it kills lice eggs, but I don't think that it was. And so we would treat and we would wash everything. And then I think if I missed any eggs in the combing, that they would hatch. And then we'd start again. We haven't had a full infestation like the first time that I noticed it, but we've consistently been finding a few lice on Emily's head here and there. So we went ahead and cut my hair and we cut Emily's hair to make the process of combing easier. I think we finally got them because now I check daily and we've been treating every 7 days. So I think this should be our last treatment, but it is so much work. Such a pain in the butt. I can't wait for this to be over. But I do like the haircut. I've never had somebody that wasn't a professional cut my hair. I did have to go back and try to like even up the two sides the best I could. No, it's not the greatest, but it's not bad, and it's nice to have my hair be lighter during the summer. And then also I got COVID. Like, I could not catch a break these last 2 weeks. It kicked my butt. It kicked my butt so hard. I'm not vaccinated, and David is. And he showed some symptoms first, and then I got hit with the fever. I got a really bad fever the first night with chills and headaches, and it started with a headache. I took Tylenol and then still got a fever even after taking Tylenol. And then I was just basically in bed for 5 days straight with on and off fevers. I could not kick this fever. I was so tired. My head hurt so bad. I couldn't take enough Tylenol to keep up with the headache, which was frustrating because I'm breastfeeding, so I can't really take a lot, and you're not supposed to take a lot anyways because it's not really that great for your kidneys and your liver. It was a mess. I'm so glad that, David was supposed to go back to work, but I told him, I said, I'm really sick. It had been like 3 days of fever at this point. And I was like, what if I have COVID? I don't want it being spread. Let's get tested before you go back to work. And his test came back negative, but my test came back positive. And so that was so we went and got PCR tested, which takes 1 to 3 days to get your results back. And then his work was like, well, let's just do a rapid test. So we rapid tested me and my older 2 kids and David, and so his rapid test came back negative, mine came back positive, Jack's came back positive, and then Emily's didn't work. The tests are reminiscent of like if you've ever seen or taken a pregnancy test, the control line like got blown out and washed away, and so it wasn't anything that we could count as results, but I wouldn't be surprised if she also would have gotten a positive test. They were almost completely unaffected. It just kicked my butt. So after we got the positive test results, we all were on complete isolation, and so David had to stay home from work, and thank goodness that he did not get it, even though he could have potentially carried it to me. We don't know. We're not COVID experts, but thank goodness he was able to take care of me and the kids because I was not able to take care of anybody during that time. And it was starting to get really stressful because I couldn't work for like 5 days and I have these deadlines coming up, and it was super stressful. But luckily, I slowly started feeling better and I feel completely back to normal now. It just was a very unfortunate week. It was horrible. But yeah, now I just gotta go get vaccinated. But that's all I wanted to talk about for this week. Thank you for joining me, and until next time, guys, happy crafting. Bye!